بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. It is the 9th of November 2022, and it is a Wednesday. And in our broadcast series, Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 372. We are discussing the words of verse 105 of the second chapter of the Holy Quran. And this is part 10a. And I've called it 10a because it continues with the topic that we were doing yesterday. These broadcasts are brought to you by Laser, Lahore Ahmadiyya School of Education in Religion, which is the department of Ahmadiyya Manishayat Islam, or the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement. The Ahmadiyya movement was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, who taught that although other people say after the Holy Prophet Muhammad another prophet will come, this cannot be right, because the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet was Khatamun Nabiyyin. And the Holy Prophet said this means La Nabiyya Badi, there is no prophet after. And when the companions showed their concern about what will happen if Muslims need guidance, then God said, then the Holy Prophet said that God will send Mujaddideen, reformers, when there is a need. And he was one such reformer. The difference was that the Hadith also speaks of the coming of a Messiah and Mahdi, a savior and a guide. And people take that to mean that there'll be two personalities. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad explained that there weren't two personalities, but two titles used for a Mujaddid, who would have a particularly difficult task in defending Islam. And he said that these titles applied to him. Upon this, people started calling Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad and members of the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement kafirs and heretics and so on. But Hazrat Sahib pointed out that this behavior is un-Islamic, because the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima, you are a heretic, you are not a Muslim, then this edict returns and falls upon the person saying it. So Muslims must not use such terminology for each other. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad also explained that although people say that the first source of our knowledge is the hadith, but a hadith were written by human beings. The first source of our knowledge must be the Holy Quran, which was revealed by God. And then comes the Sunnah, or the actions of the Holy Prophet, and then hadith, the sayings of the Holy Prophet, but they need to be tested for their genuineness and accuracy and so on. And of course, after that, there are other things like ijma and ijtihad and so on. The Sahib also said that people say that some prophetic revelation has been missed out from the Holy Quran, like Ayah Rajam and Surah Balayat, but this is not correct because God has promised to protect the Holy Quran. So how could anything be missed from it? Similarly, he pointed out that people say that some verses of the Holy Quran have been abrogated. And he said that this is incorrect. No verse of the Holy Quran was, is, or ever shall be abrogated. And that jihad is a fundamental duty of every Muslim. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when returning from fighting, said Muslims were returning from the minor jihad, jihad-e-asghar, to the major jihad, jihad-e-akbar. And he further explained that the major jihad is jihad bin nafs, a jihad against your own selves, your own souls, your own desires, to purify yourself. That is the major jihad. So let us turn to the topic for today, or the continuation of the topic from yesterday. As I said, Al-Baqarah, verse 105. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ما يود الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب ولا المشركين أن ينزل عليكم من خير من ربكم والله يختص برحمته من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. Neither those who disbelieve from among the people of the book nor the polytheists like that any good should be sent down to you from your Lord. And Allah chooses whom He pleases for His mercy. And Allah is the Lord of mighty grace. So, as I said, we are continuing with the topic that we started today, that we started yesterday, which was looking at the word bi rahmatihi. Now it has three parts, or three segments, three morphological segments, if you want to be strict about it. Bi, which is connects it with the previous part of the sentence, rahmati, which is a noun, and he, which is a pronoun. So this expression we are going to look at, rahmati, and its root, its masdar, is Ra, Ha, Mim. And this occurs in the Holy Quran 339 times in 9 different forms. What that means is that 9 different words are made from this root, and in total they occur in the Holy Quran 339 times. 116 times as Rahim, and 114 times as Rahmat, and 57 times as Rahman, and 28 times as Rahima. What else do we have? 12 times as Arham, and 6 times as Rahimin, and then 4 times as Arham, and once as Ruhum, and once as Marhamat. So these are the various occurrences of different words, and it means to have mercy. Chapter 2, verse 286 is the famous verse people use, Wa'fu anna waghfir lana warhamna, and forgive us and have mercy on us. There are many verses where that meaning is used, as I said. And then noun, where it's used as the womb, huwallazi yasawwarukum fil arhami kayfa yasha'u, is from chapter 3, verse 6, means wombs, the wombs. And from that also comes the word relationship. Because a baby is born from the womb, baby has a mother, and she is related to the father, and then she has a father and mother, and she has brothers and sisters, and the father has a father and mother, and the father has brothers and sisters, and so. And this is how these relationships are formed. So, like the Holy Quran says, Wa ulul arham ba'duhum. The chapter 8, verse 75, the blood relatives, blood relations. And of course, it means the most merciful, wa anta arhamur rahman. This is it. The expression is used in many places in the Holy Quran, and it also means affection, and when applied to God, it also means the most gracious. So we are continuing yesterday's topic, and so let's start with that. Now, what you have to remember is that not only human life, much life of living things, it goes through stages. And I know what you're going to say, that, you're a child and then you grow up and become a boy and so on. But I want to take this back to inception. When a human is conceived, it is in the mother's womb. It doesn't need to breathe. It lives in a liquid, and the mother provides it with all the nourishment. But when that baby is born, that is the end of one life and the beginning of another life. It now needs to breathe, to have oxygen. It now needs to feed itself. I know the mother feeds it, but the baby sucks on the teat to take the milk in, or, if it's soft food, as you gradually wean the baby onto solids and so on. And then a time comes when this physical body that we know and cherish and so on is no longer able to continue. And people say, well, someone's died. I prefer to say that they've moved on to the next stage in their development. The first stage was when they were in mother's womb. The second stage was when they had this body. And something we call the soul inhabited this body, just like the baby was in the womb. Now, a time comes that our body gives birth to this soul. We call it dying because the soul no longer needs or has this physical body. The point I'm making is that living things, especially human beings, need nourishment and guidance in all stages. At one stage, they only need nutrition. They don't, in mother's womb, they don't need to know about stealing and doing homework and all this kind of thing. But then when they're born, when they start to learn, you start to teach them. They go to nursery and they snatch something from another kid, and someone teaches them, no, you can't do that. The other boy was playing with this. You have to wait until he's finished. And so it goes on. And for a lot of the spiritual guidance in this form, we need guidance from God. And that guidance we obtain through God's revelation. And in this verse of the Holy Quran, it says that is Rahmah. Any good, any blessing. And this is also mentioned in another place in chapter 23, verse 32, I think. So God gives us this guidance. Now the point is that the Holy Quran says God is Rabbul Alameen. Rabb means the creator, the nourisher, the developer, the perfecter. And the term is Alameen. He created, he developed, he nourishes, he perfects the whole of the universe, inanimate and animate objects. So that includes human beings, that includes animals, that includes trees and vegetables and flowers and everything else. And God says, I think it's chapter 6, verse 54, that God has made it incumbent upon himself to provide you with means of development. Ala nafsihi hit rahmah. God has made it incumbent upon himself. Now, notice the thing that nationalities and color and languages and religions and sects, nothing is mentioned here. Rabb, creator, nourisher, perfecter, guide of everything and everyone. This is why in Surah Fatiha we find Rabbul Alameen, that God is Rabbul Alameen. So he's the Rabb of everything. And see, it says Alameen. Now Arabs sometimes they say it means, well, there is an alam of humans and there's an alam of horses and an alim of roses and so on. But it could also mean that, there's one universe that we know, one alim. There may be many other alims, many other universes. It may be that when we die, when we stop inhabiting this earth in this physical body, we move to some other alim where things are different. And then we have Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Now, Rahim means something that constantly and continuously provides the means of development and sustenance for what it has created. And Rahman means someone who at time of exceptional need provides something extra. And people apply this to theory of evolution and so on and so forth. But you can look at it another way, that sometimes we do get exceptional needs. For example, when at the time of Badr, Muslims marched out to defend Medina. There were 313 of them, and the Quraysh were 4 times the number. Now, that was an emergency. That was an exceptional situation in which help was needed. And God says in the Holy Quran, I sent down my angels to help and support. And some people say, and some people think that when it says angels, there were little sort of creatures with wings who had swords and shields and so on, and they were fighting on the Muslim side. Maybe I disagree with that idea. What I say is that God infused in the Muslims the steadfastness, the bravery, the idea that we don't care how we're outnumbered. God is with us. Inna Allaha ma'ana. God is with us. He will protect us. He will save us. I take provision of angels to be in that sense. That God inspired Muslims in such a way that they overcome or force 4 times their numbers. Now, some people also say that, well, there is another difference between Rahim and Rahman, and that relates to this world and the hereafter. That Rahman means that he provides everyone without distinction in this world. And Rahim means that he provides only for the believers in the hereafter. And they refer to chapter 7, verse 156, which says, وَرَحْمَانِي وَسِعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَسَأَكْتُبُهَا لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ. That my Rahmat includes, it's wide. It includes everything. So it makes no distinction between nationality and color and language and religion and sect and whatever else you've got. But we, those who are righteous, those who are muttaqi, we specially select them. So, and they say that means that the believers will go to heaven and non-believers in hell. Now, what I would say is that, and people say they'll be punished in hell and so on. And what I say is that hell is not a place of punishment; it's a place of cure. The people say, "Well, why is there pain in hell, etc.?" Well, the reason is this: if your appendix becomes inflamed for some reason and is going to burst and poison you and kill you, what does the doctor do? They take a knife, they cut open your stomach and they cut out the appendix, and then they sew your stomach back together again. That is terribly painful. But once you've recovered, you are now not in danger of dying from the poison that would have spread throughout your body if the appendix had burst. I take hell to be exactly the same thing, a place of cure where we'll go to treatment. Let's take another example. It's a little bit like having to carry around a card which showed that you had had a COVID vaccination. So when God says, I'll take their names, that's what it means. That I told them to do this in this life, and they've done all of that. We told them to go and get vaccinated against COVID, and they've been vaccinated. They're now not going to catch COVID, or if they do, not so severely, and so on. So rather than an absolute thing that the believers will go here and the non-believers go over there, once, our Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, got COVID. He was hospitalized, and he was moved to intensive care, and he was given pure oxygen and what have you. And then he recovered and he came out again. It's exactly the same thing. Our souls will recover from the damage that we have inflicted upon them in this life, and then move on to a better life. But these things are hard to understand. Well, people say these things are hard to understand, and why should we believe them? We can't see them. Well, we believe in quantum mechanics. which says that an electron is both a particle and a wave at the same time. And when it goes through two slits, the Young's two-slit experiment, it hits the two slits acting as a particle, but as soon as it goes through the slit, it starts to behave like a wave. They say that one particle of electron can come through both slits at the same time, can be in two places at the same time. How is that possible? And then sometimes I find that amusing, that people are quite happy and prepared to believe that that an electron can be in two places at the same time. It's like me being here and in Lahore or New Delhi at the same time. But they find it difficult to believe that there is a creator who has created this universe and who has created all these things and provided us with a guidance. We should think and reflect on these things. And just because science says something, we shouldn't believe it and disbelieve in other things. With that, I take my leave of you, with the prayer that may Allah keep the whole of humanity safe and sound and free from harm. Until we meet, I hope tomorrow at the same time, I bid you farewell. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.